Starting today, the letzte Perek Chof Daled from Sefer Yehoshua. And I'd like to read a few psukim before we start getting involved in the essence of the Perek. Vaye'esoif Yehoshua es kol shivtei Yisrael shchemo, vayikro leziknei Yisrael uleRoshim uleshoiftov uleshoitrov, vayisyatzvu lifnei Elokim. Vayomer Yehoshua el kol ha'om ko yamar Hashem Elokei Yisrael be'ever anor Yoshua v'yiseichem me'olam. Actually, these are the psukim which are said in the Haggadah Shel Pesach. Part of the psukim that are being said in the Haggadah are taken from here, from Perek Chof Daled. Be'ever anor Yoshua v'yiseichem me'olam terech avi Avrom v'avi Nochor v'yavdu Elohim acherim. V'o'ekach es avichem es Avrom me'ever anor v'o'ele choyse b'chol eretz Knan v'arbe zaroi v'eten lo es Yitzchok v'eten li Yitzchok es Yakir es Esov v'eten lo Esov es Ar Seir lo reshes Oisov Yakir v'vonav Yordu Mitzrayim v'eshlach es Moshe v'es Aaron v'egoif es Mitzrayim kasher osisi bekir boi v'egoif ef shegetos af makas choshech v'egoif es Mitzrayim kasher osisi bekir boi ואחר אויצייסי אסכם ואויצי אסב אויסייכם ממצרים ותבואו היומו וידפו מצרים אחר אויסייכם ברכב ופרושם על ים סוף ויזעקו אל השם וישם מאפל ביניכם ובין המצרים ויאמר להם היום ויחסהו ותראינו עיניכם כאשר עשיתי במצרים. Okay, we'll skip a few psukim and then we'll go to Posuk Yud Aleph, V'tavru es hayarden, v'tavoyu el Yerichoi, v'yilochamu bochem ba'al Yerichoi, ha'emoiri ve'aprizi, ve'aknaini ve'achiti ve'agirgoshi, hachivi ve'ayevusi, v'o'eten oisom b'yedchem, v'yeshlach lifneichem es hatziro, v'tegorosh oisom mipneichem, shnei malchei emoiri, לא יבחר בך ולא בקשתך. ואתן לכם ארץ אשר לא יגעתו בו, ואורים אשר לא יניסם, ותשו בהם קרומים וזיסם אשר לא נטעתם אתם אוכלים, ועתו יראו אס השם, ויעבדו איסו בסומם ובאמס, והסירו אס אלוהים אשר עובדו אבויסייכם בעבר הנור, ובמצרים ויעבדו אס השם. Yeshua is gathering all the people again. We had one gathering in Perek Chof Gimel, which the Perek Chof Gimel was only, if you remember, gathering of the Roshei Hashvatim. Here in Perek Chof Daled, if you look at the beginning of the Perek, Yeshua is getting together Kol Shivtei Yisrael. And the Rishonim are elaborating the difference between the previous one and this one. The previous one is a tzivui and kibush ha'oretz, and not to be oved Elohim acherim. That's Perek Chof Gimel. Perek Chof Daled is talking about the case of the Bris HaTorah. He's calling everyone into Shechem, although the Mishkan is standing in Shiloh, but he's calling everyone to Shechem, which maybe we'll talk about it next week. Fosapes in Shechem. He brings the Oroin from Shiloh to Shechem. The words in the first pasuk, "Vayisyatzu lifnei Elohim," state in Al Rishonim, "Vayisyatzu lifnei Elohim ze Oren Abris." So he takes out the Oren Abris from Mishkan Shiloh, and he brings them into Shechem, because Shechem is a unique place for Krisas Bris. We'll see it's a topic b'fnei atzmai, and he calls everybody to be Koheres Bris. And this is all done on the day of Yeshua's death, or a day earlier, as we will see in the psukim to follow at the end of the parak. So he's calling them, and he is making a bris, and he's telling them a little bit of history. He says, you know, your forefather, David Zorah, I took Avram, Yitzchak, and Yakir, I gave him children, I saved you throughout the 40-year journey in the Midbar. I brought you over and across Ever Hayarden. You're now in Eretz Yisrael. You have to obey the laws of the Torah, and for that, I'm going to be Koyres Bris. This is very similar, or as in essence, identical to what Moshe Rabbeinu is doing in Parshas Nitzavim. Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Nitzavim also takes and makes a Krisas Bris, and this Krisas Bris has to be done. B'derech Klal, Hasidot Tzvei mentioned 2 parties signing a pact, both parties have to be present. So the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is Krisas Bris between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is by bringing the Oren. You're bringing Aron Bris Hashem. It's called in the Pasuk, Vayisyatzvu Lifnei Elokim. The fact that the Oren is there, they're signing Bris with Yeshua, and it's a Bris. Yeshua is the mediator, the negotiator, as the leader giving over his kingdom. You know, Yeshua is not only a manig, Yeshua is a melech. Actually, the whole din of Moed B'Malchus, the Rambam learns out from Yeshua, called Isha Sheyamre Espicho, as we saw in the beginning of Sefer Yeshua, Mois Yumos. So Yeshua is the melech, and really he's holding here by Ein Shiltoi B'Yom HaMoves, he's holding by Otot, going away, and he's conveying, he's giving over the melucha to the Zkenim, what we call in Pirkei Avos, Moshe Kibel Torah Misina Mesor LeYeshua, VeYeshua LeZkenim. Here is the Mesire of Torah, or the Krisas Bris, and the Zkenim, who are going to live less than 2 years according to the Gemara in Shabbos. They are going to be the leaders taking over a bunch of Zkenim. Who are those Zkenim? There's different interpretations, Chazal, if those are the Shivim Zkenim, or those are different Zkenim. But Al Koponim, the Ziknei Ador are the one who are taking over the Anhogo from the Yeshua Binu. This Elikim is Kodesh. Is Oren HaKodesh, is the Oren HaElikim. The Yisyatzvu Lifnei Elikim means Oren HaKodesh. If you look in the Radak, you don't have a Radak, but if you look in the Radak, or you look in all the Meforshim, Lifnei Ha'oren Asher Reviu B'Shchem Lichrois Lefonav Abris Kemo Yishaoma B'Sefer Inyan. Which is a shaila. You're not allowed to take the Oren out. I mean, what are you taking the Oren out? What is it coming to Shechem? Again, this is a sugya b'fnei atzma. I would like to start today's Shiur with a fascinating Yerushalmi in Horiyos. Look at the Yerushalmi in Horiyos that you have here. Shtein Yerushalmi in Horiyos, Rabbi Shua ben Levi Oimer. In the Mishnah in Idia, in Horiyos, we have all the Dinei Kdime. Who is more choshev than who has a priority to who, as to covet, as to moira, as to be mefarnes, and so on and so forth. Roish v'zoken. You have 2 people question who to give covet to. Roish means Roish Hamate, Roish Hashevet, but he's young, he's 50 years old, he's 45 years old. And in the same Shevet, you have a Zoken, somebody 75, 80 years old. The question is, who has a priority over who? Zoken koidem lachyoisoi ulechabdoi she'einoi roish im einoi zoken. Okay, I did not bring this. My time. Diksiv atem nitzovim hayoim kulchem v'ksiv vayesov Yeshua es kol shivtei Yisrael shchemo. Moshe Hikdim Zkenim. Yeshua Hikdim Zkenim leRoshim. The Yerushalmi finds a distinction between the din Kedime of Zkenim versus Roshim. Moshe Rabbeinu Roshechem Shiftechem Ziknechem. Yeshua Binun, when you read the Pasuk, our Pasuk, Perek of Daled, Pasuk Aleph, state Vayikro leZiknei Yisrael uleRoshov. Which means he was makdim the Zkenim before the Roshim. The Yerushalmi is puzzled and he has a shaila. Who is koidim? He says there's a difference we find between Moshe and Yeshua. He says, Yeshua hikdim Zkenim leRoshim. Moshe, al-edei shehoyu akol talmidov, hikdim Roshim leZkenim. Yeshua, al-edei shehoyu akol talmidov, hikdim Zkenim leRoshim. Moshe, everyone was his talmid. So every Jeder ein hat gelernt, ganz klar Yisrael learn Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu. So there's no need for, there is no inyan in Zkenim, therefore he's makdim the leRoshim, the Rosh Hashvatim, to the Zkenim. Yeshua, that not everybody was zeicha to hear from him Torah. Yeshua gave over the Torah to the Zkenim. So Mele, the Zkenim are more chashuv than the Rosh Hashvatim. This is one pshat. I would like to focus on the third pshat. Moshe had shelo yoyo tzorich lehem b'kiddush haaretz, hikdim leRoshim leZkenim. Yeshua al yedei shetzorich lehem b'kiddush haaretz, hikdim Zkenim leRoshim. Let's leave that part alone. Let's go to the third part. Moshe, and this is a chazal I don't think anybody in the room heard about it before. Listen to this chazal. Moshe al yedei shelo nisyageya b'talmud Torah, hikdim leRoshim leZkenim. Yeshua al yedei sheisyageya b'talmud Torah, hikdim Zkenim leRoshim. Here, that's the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was not nisyageya in Torah. Tzach nish gemutzet in Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu. Therefore, is hikdim leRoshim leZkenim. Ki'ilu, Rosh HaShevet, the president, the CEO of the Shevet, has more of a chashivas than Zkenim. But Yeshua shenisyageya b'Torah, he pays more chashivas than the Zkenim who are taking over the Torah from him. We learned menazeh pshat in the Yerushalayim Muchetzach. The Meforshim. What does it mean, Moshe shelo nisyageya b'Torah? I would like to go back to the beginning of Sefer Yeshua. We touched it at the first year of Yeshua, and I'd like to touch it today in Shiur number 52 thereafter, but from a different angle. The name Yeshua bin Nun is mentioned in the Torah 22 times. The first 5 times Yeshua bin Nun is mentioned is in Parshas Beshalach, by Milchemes Amalek. He's called Yeshua. If you look up in the Chumash, you'll see, you don't see the word Yeshua bin Nun. You see Yehoshua. By Milchemes Amalek, Vayikra Moshe leYeshua. You don't find his father's name in the beginning. 5 times Yeshua is mentioned in Chumash Mois without having his father involved in the story. Parshas Kisisa, it says, Umeshorsa Yeshua bin Nun nar leyomish mitzoich ha'oil. Only in Parshas Kisisa, we find the first time that he's called Yeshua bin Nun. Why is it that way? Another question we asked then at the time, if you look at Sefer Divrei Hayomim, you look in the Toldos of Bnei Ephraim, in the descendant of the Shevet Ephraim, it says, Noin B'noi Yehoshua B'noi. The father of Yeshua was not called Nun, but called Noin. He's not spelled with a chubutz or shuruk, but he's spelled with a cholam. Noin B'noi Yeshua B'noi. And the Gemara says, in Eruvin, Daf Samach Gimel, anybody ever learned, the Gemara says, Yeshua bin Nun meis b'loi vlad. He never had children, because it says Ephraim b'noi, Tacham b'noi, it says Elishama, Amiud, it says the whole thing. By the way, Noin's father was Elishama ben Amiud, who was the Nosel of Ephraim. If you Dafka want to take, it's 8 generations from Ephraim till Yeshua. But it says, and then it says, Noin b'noi Yeshua b'noi, as the very own stops, there's no. The Gemara says, Araya, it doesn't say anymore, Yeshua didn't have any vlad. The Gemara says, Kasha, it says, Rochav Azayna had kids. The Gemara says he married, he came to Eretz Yisrael, he married Rochav, and he had a daughter. From that daughter, he had Shmein and Nevim, Yirmiyo, Hanamo, Baruch, Benerio, Sroyo, Maxio, all those, Afil Chuldan, Via Yeshem, Megmor, Megillah. Those are all descended from his daughter. But Yeshua did not have any children. We're coming to the end of the life of Yeshua. He did not have any boys. Yeshua meis beloi vlad. The Gemara says meis beloi vlad. The Gemara has the kasha. You see, he did have descendants. The Gemara says he didn't have sons. And it says beferish, he's Noin. He's not called Nun. Noin b'noi, Yeshua b'noi. So why all over the Tanakh we never ever find Yeshua should be called Yeshua bin Noin, ben Noin, bin Noin, and he's not called Yeshua ben Noin, only bin Nun. So look at the Ramban. Look at the Ramban. The Ramban in reference number 4, Mishorse Yeshua, on this passage, the first time I mentioned, Mishorse Yeshua binun nar the Yom Shmitei Choel, v'tam binun bo bechirik tmuras segoil. The Ramban is puzzled with the fact that it's called bin nun and not ben nun. V'chen divrei ogur bin yeke. Pasuk in Mishlei. V'chein shebin laila hoyo ubin laila ovad in Yoino, and the kikoyin de Yoino. Bin akoy sarosho. V'im calls it, okay, so the Ramban says the derech of Tanakh we find instead of ben you write bin. V'im kol ze anito meho. Madua lo nimla b'shem atzadik hazeh echot sheyove kiminog. One time call him ben nun. What? Bin. Okay, you got your point. Says the Ramban and the Dikavot. V'ani choyshev. You know, I want to tell you something. It's the only time in Tanakh the Ramban writes the word ani choyshev. Ramban Tracht, you know, Baron Kotler used to say, as, you know, if you want a dingzach on the Rosh, on Rabbeinu Tam, you can bring in Rayas v'Gmoras nish v'Rishonim. But when the Rosh says Libi Oimeli, you can't dingzach with him. Why? Because the leiv of the Rosh is kol ateri kula. The leiv of the Rosh you can't disagree with. The Ramban writes V'ani choyshev. It's a puzzling lashon which we don't find anywhere. V'ani choyshev. Look at this. Ki noagu likroiser ken lekovid. Ki hoyo hagodoil betalmide Moshe Rabbeinu. Ve'yikri loy binun kloima hanovoin ki ein novoin ve'chochom komoyu. Says the Ramban, it's an optical illusion. The whole time that he's called Yeshua binun, it doesn't mean the son of Nun. Yeshua was ben noin, and we're not addressing his father. Yeshua binun is one word. It's not really two words. Binun, says the Ramban. So the Ramban says, ani choyshev. Hanovoin, ein novoin v'chochom kamoya. Binun, he has a bina. Yeshua is called Yeshua binun, Yeshua the novoin, because there's nobody else like him. There's no bigger novoin like Yeshua binun. As I state in Ramban, nicht meiner Stickel Teure. Hemoyer me'ato, it's either Yeshua ben noin or Yeshua binun. Binun is one word. He's Bala bina. I'd like to read with you a Gemara in Broches in Daf Nun Hey. Steht in the Gemara, Omar Rav Yochanan, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu noisen chochmo, elo lemi sheyesh bo chochmo. Sheneemar, Yoev chochmoso lachachimin, umendor liyoide bina. It's a pasuk in Daniel. Yoisen noismo lachachomim, umendor libnei. In other words, the Kadosh Baruch Hu only gives chochme to somebody who's a chochem. A tipish doesn't get chochme. Chaim Volozhin fragt doch, a shaila in l'chaim, v'achochme ha'rishonim ma'ayin timotze. If you only give a chochme to the chachamim, the guy's not a chochem. He's not going to get a chochme. So how do you ever become a chochem to be able to get chochme als ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu neisachol? So Chaim Volozhin says a shtikol Torah, and Reish is chochme yiras Hashem, and the Yiras is a chochme, and you become a chochem through having yiras Hashem, and that's called ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu neisachol. I'm not elaborating, it's a shiur b'fnei atzma. Zog the Gemara, Shoma mar Rav Tachlife bar Ma'arov ve'omar kamed Rabavo, omar lei atun me'aso masnino, onu, right? Mi ocho masnino le. T'ksivu beleiv kol chacham leiv nasati chochma. Nafti shforim b'sefer Daniel. It says beleiv kol chacham leiv nasati chochma. So only one who's a chacham leiv gets a chochma. Look at the Goyen in Braise, the Seder Oilom. I love this Goyen. This Goyen is a phenomenal Goyen, but you have to look inside. Oisiyos machkimis. In Braise, the Seder Oilom steht azay. Yoiv chochmoso lechachomin. Look at the Lashon HaBraise. This is a Braise. It's a Mishnah. Yoiv chochmoso lechachomim. Ze Moshe Rabbeinu avi ha-chochmo ve'avi ha-tvuno. Umendor leyoidei bino. זה ישוע בינון, שנאמר וישוע בינון מולה רוח חוכמה. Moshe is a chacham, Yeshua is a bino, is a novin. Why says the Zog the Mishnah, Zog the Braise, the Seder Oilom? Yoiv chochmosa lechachomim, because Baruch Hu gave chochma to who? Ze Moshe Rabbeinu, Avi HaChochma. Moshe Rabbeinu is called Avi HaChochma ve'Avi HaTvuno. Yehoshua binun is called what? Yoidei Bina. Zog the Goyen. Look at the Lashon of the Goyen. Look at the Lashon Hazav of the Goyen. Ze Moshe Rabbeinu Pirush, she Moshe Rabbeinu lo hoye tzorich lebino. Ki bina hu amevin dova mitoch dova, v'hu kibel hakol mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There is no bina, okay? We're not talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about human intelligence. But the human intelligence only kicks in when you have something lacking. Then you got to put on your thinking cap, and you have to be a novo, and you have to have a tvuna. Moshe Rabbeinu was spoon-fed by a golden level from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't need bina, says the Goyen. Listen to the Lashon of Goyen Lochamol. Moshe Rabbeinu לא היה צורך לבינה, כי בינה הוא המבין דובר מתוך דובר, הוא קיבל הכל מפי הקדוש ברוך הוא. יהושע ליודע בינה זה יהושע, כי בימי יהושע נשתכחו 13,000 הלוכס, והוא היה צורך ללמוד זה מזה ולהובין זה מתוך זה. Are you listening to this? Yeshua needs bina. Why? Because the concept of shichecho was not kayam by Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu had a straight hotline with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He hears, he doesn't need bina, he doesn't need human intelligence, doesn't need artificial intelligence, he doesn't need bina. Why? Because he gets everything spoon-fed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeshua is a new era. Yeshua is nishtakhu. And what is the nishtakhu? In the moment Moshe Rabbeinu dies. Let's look together in the Gemara Tumur, which was brought down in this year more than once. Omar Rav Yudah Omar Rav, Bisho shenifter Moshe Rabbeinu legan Eden. Omar le Yeshua sh'al mimeni kol svekes sheyesh lecha. When Moshe dies, when Yeshua takes over the anhaga from Moshe, Moshe tells Yeshua, perhaps you need some guidance, you have some question mark, you have some svekes. Klum yesh lecha is a svekes. Omar le Rebbe, klum inachticha shoachas ve'olachti lemokem acher. What are you asking me for having these fakers? I don't understand you. You, Moshe Rabbeinu, writes in the Torah, I never ever left your hand leyomish. It's Moshe Rabbeinu's avort, leyomish b'toich oil. I never ever left you. So why are you asking me such a question? Klum sh'al mimeni kol sveika shebol liyotcha. Azay zok Yeshua binun to Moshe Rabbeinu. Miad toshash koichoi shel Yeshua. This is, by the way, this is the day Yeshua becomes a king. Most of Shabbos was do zugi, where two people. Moshe was getting off the benkel, Yeshua is getting on the benkel, and this is the Shalom Aleichem of Yeshua of becoming the Meister HaTorah. Zokt Rashi v'nishtachchu mimenu. Zogt Rashi, mi Yeshua ba'avoin shegoram lahachlish daito shel Moshe shenitztaer Moshe al Yeshua be'atzmo shoyo godel kemoise. Listen to this. I mean, this is all mind-boggling. Moshe Rabbeinu has a tsar. Why? Because his Talmud Yeshua is kemoise. Yeshua tells him, "Vos fragst mir kashes kol meise belikul kol sofekesh b'yotcha." You said I never missed one heartbeat. So Toshash Koicha Yeshua, why? He's getting a punishment. Right there he's getting a punishment. Why? Because he's Shochach. Because he was Machlish Daita Shel Moshe Rabbeinu on the day of his death. You have a Talmud that didn't miss a heartbeat. I mean, I would think Moshe Rabbeinu should be proud of the fact that he has a Talmud that is not one iota, one T, that he didn't cross one I, that he didn't dot. No, he was Goram Lahachlish Daita Shel Moshe. The Chaim has about it. Arichas the Maral is even the Goyen is Meramis. We're not going to learn it. Maybe it's a Shiur for Shavuos night. But because he calls Moshe Tsar, Nishtakchu Mimenu. What was Nishtaka from him? Sholosh Me'ois Halochos, V'noldu Lo Yishva Me'ois Feikes, V'omdu Kol Yisrael Lehorgoi. They wanted to kill him. So why do they want to kill him? Because there's an Isser. Yeshua is forgetting. He's forgetting 300 halachas, and he has 700 tzveikas. B'masnisen Tana steht in Gemara in Tmure, אלף ושבע מאות קלים וחמורים וגזירי שובס דקדושי ספרים נשתכחו במאה ושמשה. So it says different numbers, 700, 300, 1700, all of them nishtakach b'mei evloi shel Moshe. Zog the Gemara, afal pichein echziron osniel ben knaz bepilpuloi. What does it mean? I don't know if you know, but if you remember in the beginning of, we spoke about the beginning of Sefer Shiur, but it's going to be brought down again in the beginning of Sefer Shoftim. Mr. Shem will start very soon. Osniel ben Kenaz, who was the first Shofet, married Achso, the daughter of Kolev ben Yefune. Osniel ben Kenaz, Kolev ben Yefune had a beautiful daughter. Her name was Achso. Why was her name Achso? The Gemara states, she was so beautiful. He was angry that my vibe is Azam Yisa, and she's such a beautiful woman. And he said, whoever is going to conquer the city of Shiurei Sefer and or / Dvir, v'nosatelo es biti achso leisha. And came Osniel ben Kenaz. He's called later on in Divrei Hayom. He's called Ya'avetz. Okay, Osniel ben Kenaz, and Osniel ben Kenaz conquered it. So the Gemara says it's not talking about a physical machlekes that he couldn't capture Shiurei Sefer. If you look at the Pesukim in Yeshua, you saw. We learned it already, but it means whoever could be machzir Yeshua ben this halachas mitoich pilpul. So the Gemara says all these 300 halachas, 700 sveikas, 1700 kalim v'chamurim v'dikduke seifim without ding. Osniel ben Kenaz was machzir mitoich pilpul. We spoke many times. What is the status of those halachas once they're getting reinstated? Is it blind halacha l'meishim Sinai, or does it have a din of yidgilum b'dishater and nidreshes b'hem? Mohan agrees, the Briskerov is a big arichas about it, and loy kan mekoyme. The question is, what does the Goyen says? Look back to the Goyen. Ki b'mei Yeshua nishtakhu shloishes alofim aloches, ve'oyotzorich l'ilmoid zeh mizeh ve'lehovin zeh mitoich zeh. You had to be made in dover mitoich dover. I don't understand. Yeshua is not the one who's bringing it back. Yeshua is not the one who's bringing it back. Who is the one who's bringing it back? Osniel ben Kenaz. And then she comes to complain to her father. She says, you gave me a battlen, gulas ilis, gulas tachtis, you bring that battlen, but he doesn't know how to do any business. That's what you brought me. So her father gave her some real estate, you should have parnos. But the Gemara that the one who was machzid the halachas mitoich pulpuloi was Yeshua, not Yeshua bin Nun, but Osniel ben Kenaz. He's the one who is bringing back the halachos mitoich pilpulei. So what does the Goyen say in Brisa the Seder Olam? The Goyen comes along and says a shtickle Torah that Yeshua bin Nun needs bina unlike Moshe is because by Yeshua bin Nun, says the Goyen, what's the pshat? I once asked this question to Chaim Kanievsky, sitting in his house on Chalamayat Sukkot, in his sukkah, and I asked him, I showed him the Goyen. He knew the Goyen, I didn't have to show him the Goyen. I said, I said, Yoiv Chochma L'Chachomin Ze Moshe Rabbeinu, the Goyen's Lashon, the price that said the Olam. Yavia Chochma, because he got everything fast from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yeshua bin Nun. Why? Because he had to be mavin dover mitoich dover, and in order to be mavin dover mitoich dover, he needs to tool this new intelligence called bina, human intelligence again, not artificial intelligence, called bina. Why? Because since the Torah was nishtakach, so Yeshua bin Nun had to give a kvetch with the finger. I asked him, the Gemara Shteitoch, if Yeshua could bring it back. The Gemara says, Omuloi Yeshua Sha'al. By the way, the very same Gemara that we just brought down in Tamor, the Gemara comes along and says, Omuloi Yeshua Sha'al, Omuloi B'Shamaymi. Omuloi Shmuel Sha'al. The Gemara says, it says, Le B'Shamaymi. The Gemara says, different people were asked to revive those halachas. By Shmuel, it's Takeshver, because once Osniel ben Kenaz was Machzor B'Torah Pulpuloi, was Shmuel, who lived 354 years later, as Rashi says in Tamor Daf Yud Aleph Beis, need to reinstate it again. Not here the topic again to discuss. There's many topics we're not discussing here tonight. But Yeshua ben Nun, the Goyen says the reason why he's called Ben Dor L'Yoyde Bina is because once he forgot the halachas, he had to be machzir of the Goyen's loshen. Tzorich lilmud zeh mizeh v'lo havin zeh mitach zeh. Gemara steht doch es nil bekenas. Chaim told me, it's very cute. I found it to be very entertaining. Chaim told me, wer sagt nicht kein Bluffer? Atkan. He said, Osnil bekenas, the father put Kolev ben Yefune, put his beautiful daughter at stake, and he says, Asher ich bo ish eskir Yosef v'nosati es bitte achter leisha. Ken kommen eine sagen, sie gewinnen halocha amor von Nisach Hamayim. Mechitzin, Chatzitzin, Oichel Kazai Schelev Tzorch Shichtel leShiur, the Gemara in Yuma Daf Pei, different halachas. The 3,714 halachas that he steht in Ramin Akdom at the Pirush HaMishnah. So how do you know? Now, they're nishtakach, they're gone. Because of this, so right now, they are gone, those halachas. Now, how do you know? But how do you know that these are the halachas? A guy could say, because I'm a false shtickle. Oh. So he said that once Isniel ben Kenaz was saying it, Yeshua was reminded of those halachas. That's what he told me. Of course he was alive. What are we talking about? He was alive. He was very much alive. Those halachas where the Gemara says that he told them, they didn't know. The Gemara says he told them, told them, this is the first Milchama Yeshua. So you needed a bino, okay? How did this combination work? I don't know exactly, but apparently Yeshua had a chelik in the reinstatement of Torah, which was caused by his ovain that is going la'achlish daita shel Moshe, and that's what the guy says. That's what you need the bina to. In other words, he brought it mitoich pilpuloi, but without the assistance of Yeshua, which apparently is not just gedenk take. Gedenk take, you don't need bina. Yeshua was mavin dover mitoich dover. Apparently he was masking. He sat down and learned chavrusa with Isniel ben Kenaz, and together they brought back the halachas. It's called after Isniel ben Kenaz, but Yeshua ben Nun, you needed Yeshua's bina, and that's what Chaim told me. Chaim told me it's damant. I asked him, he said, "Was ist bina?" It's damant. He says, "Und zusammen sind zurückgebringen die halachas, shenishtaku b'meiv shumash." Otherwise, you can't make heads and tails in the brisa that said the Reilu Rabbah. So Shichachas HaTorah is called in Meir de Kazach. I just would like to say one or before we go any further. Shichachas HaTorah, in other words, Kol Zman Moshe Rabbeinu is given Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is given Torah, spoon-fed with the golden spoons of the Goyim. It's chokhmah. It's pure wisdom. It's given. It's pure chokhmah given from the Kadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. He doesn't need anything. Till the day Moshe Rabbeinu died, the day Yeshua takes over, he needs bina. Why does he need bina? Because he's goyim to Shichachas HaTorah. So the goyim here is yoyde bina. Yoyde bina is Yeshua steht im Preis in the Seder Olam, because Yeshua is machs. Now, which pasuk is Yeshua ben Nun using in order to get this oynish, the concept of Shichachas HaTorah? There was no Shichachah in Torah until Yeshua ben Nun came, and it all happened Zion Oder Beis Alofim Tov Mem Ches, when Moshe Rabbeinu is dying. Which pasuk did he get? Which pasuk was going to achlish daitoi? Steht in Gemara Tmura. Umishosay Yeshua ben Nun nar leyomish mitoich oil. You said about me, Mishosay Yeshua ben Nun nar. As we said before, this is the first time the word ben Nun is appearing on the surface. The first 5 times until this parashas Kisiso, the word ben Nun does not appear. This ben Nun, what got Moshe Rabbeinu Chalisha Sadas, caused the siluk of pure crystal, flawless view of Moshe v'Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and entered Klal Yisrael to a new era where Shichacha is one of the Matbei HaLoshins. So this pasuk itself is the pasuk of Yeshua ben Nun, was the Ramban zogt that the reason why it's called ben Nun is not a name, it's a title. Ramban says it's a novoin. What's the Lashon Ramban that we saw before? When did he get this title? For the very same pasuk that Yeshua is getting his punishment here in the, it's a shtar v'shoivre b'tzidoi, in the clap from introducing welcome to Shichecha is the very same recipe that you crown Yeshua, you give him, you bestow upon him the bino, the novoin, the milayoy, the bino, the Yeshua, lahavin davar mitoch davar. So I think, it is phenomenal that the Havana in Torah comes only from Shichecha. Shichecha was not present till Yeshua ben Nun introduced it to the world, and he introduced it in that moment using that pasuk, which gives him the refuah for the makkah that was included in this kivyochel gaiver that he was mashvehim to his Rebbe Moshe Rabbeinu. I'd like to go back to the Yerushalmi in the areas that we muchasach in the beginning of this year. Let's go to the Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi says that the chiluk between Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshua in the krisas bris by the Orein, by the day of their death, state Yerushalmi, that Moshe Rabbeinu was makdim leRoshim lezkenim. Yeshua was makdim zkenim leRoshim. Yerushalmi muchasach, and Yerushalmi wants to bring a raya klap in the halacha of who is kodim lachyoyse lekovim. So Yerushalmi says 3 terutzim. By the third teretz, Yerushalmi says a word which I was puzzled. It's a gemutzet. I asked today, Aida Talmid Chacham, how did he learn pshat in Yerushalmi? And Ishgat kim pshat. But no chamo. Moshe al yedei sheloi nisyageya betalmud Torah hikdim roishim lezkenim. Yeshua al yedei nisyageya betalmud Torah. What does it mean Moshe wasn't nisyageya betalmud Torah? It's chapel so Moshe was not nisyageya betalmud Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu tzarich gemutzet Torah. Moshe was not nisyageya in Torah. Kama tiches tarach tevad Moshe Rabbeinu. But Moshe, which is not nisyageya in Torah, just means to say the Yegia Satayr, the Omal Atayr, in Goyen State in Etlachet, I should have brought the Goyen down. The Goyen State that there's Leo, that the concept of Yegia Satayr is Shalei Lishkoyach Satayr. The Yegia Satayr, the word is Shalei Lishkoyach Satayr. The reason why Shechach Dover Echad B'Mishnasa Yichayev Miso, because the Yegia Satayr is the fact you have to preserve Torah in its essence, not to be forgotten. Moshe Rabbeinu was stating Breis in the Seder Olam. Moshe Rabbeinu avia chochme zog the goyin lohoye tzorich lebino ki bino amevin dover mitoch dover. The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu did not need a bino, it's not saying b'Torah's a chisaron of Moshe Rabbeinu, but the fact that Moshe had it crystal clear, a spoon fed, and the concept of shichicho did not exist in the world until this ma'aseh with Yeshua ben Nun, the Sugis Agmor Temurah. That caused Moshe Rabbeinu to be called and defined Yerushalmi lo nisyageh b'talmud Torah. He never had to be mevin dover mitoch dover. Everything was crystal clear, was given to him, avia chochma ve'avia tvuna, without any. It was a flawless crystal ball, seeing in his eyes without any question mark asked. Yeshua ben Nun shegekumen anayat kufe, shegekumen at kufe fun shichachas atayr. Shekumen atuken bikshe kol Yisrael lehoger. Beskorov brings down Pashas v'eschanav v'chaim v'lojener. Kol shechach dov v'echad b'mishnos echai v'reizim ischai b'nafshe. They wanted to kill him. Because Baruch Hu says, told him in Melchomah Mashol learns, it means to say, la'asiach daitom, be a time of a war, everybody forget about all the tzoros. They're going to forget about you. But l'maise is ischai of mizal. It's only, but the Chaim v'lojener says in Keser Rosh for the Goyen, it's only a rishonim shalom the Torah bal peh. This halacha of kol shechach dover mishnos chayav misa is only the rishonim shalom the Torah bal peh. Today, when we have everything written down in books, there's no yisur of kol shechach dover b'talmudim. Rishonim shalom the Torah peh. Moshe Rabbeinu gives over the Torah to Yeshua. He gives it over to someone. He gets it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, Moshe kibol Torah misinai. I would just like to finish with these words. I'm sorry that we did not learn what we're supposed to learn today. We're supposed to learn the sugya of Megillas Beis Hamikdash, but this came in this Yerushalmi. Moshe kibol Torah misinai mesor the Yeshua the Rishonim mushensach. Why does it say HaKadosh Baruch Hu mosar Torah leMoshe u'mesor leYeshua? It says mesira, mesira, mesira. Why is so? Everybody says Egen Pshatim. It's not derech koved. Tesisyontem is a pshat. The Maral is a pshat. Moshe kibol Torah Yeshua mesira is when something is conveyed from one kli to another kli. Then there is residual tipim that are being lost, are being expired, are being nishkach on the way. Moshe Kibel, the Kabbalah, is a Kabbalah straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It wasn't a Mesirah with a transfer, it was a Kabbalah. But Moshe Rabbeinu was a Chochmeh, Avia Chochmeh, was never ever forgotten. Bottom line, Moshe Rabbeinu, it's a shver losh of the Yerushalmi. Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Gave Talmud Torah," and therefore he was makdim. leRoshim, the Zkenim. Yeshua was Nisyager in the Torah. He knew what is the Mesol Zkenim. He knew what's giving over Torah. He knew the achrayus of giving over Torah without the shichach Torah. We'll stop here. Mitzvah Shem next week. I'd like to learn the sugya of Megillah Space Hamikdash, which is also incorporated in this pasuk.